The winter crop this year is critical in many ways. The drought, which has left more than half of the Zimbabwe's population food insecure, means the winter crop has to cover the gap. So, on the ground, how is it progressing? More in the following report.
The winter crop is a make-or-break situation for Zimbabwe. Drought has left the country on the brink, and this is one way to bridge the gap. Permanent Secretary Obed Jiri speaks about land utilized so far.
So we have 121,962 hectares of winter wheat that we planted this season.
He also spoke about challenges being faced by farmers.
And we targeted 120,000 hectares, and the farmers had not been fully paid when we started talking about the winter wheat production. So the first challenge was really to encourage and to motivate the farmers to plant despite the delayed payment. So eventually, when the farmers were paid, the second challenge was to ensure that we do have enough water and we do have enough power to power the irrigation that would produce the winter wheat.
Over the years, payment of farmers for their produce has been a sticky point. Climate change has also made the outcome unpredictable.
But for this season, the weather for winter wheat was quite good. So remember, we had a very cold first half of June, and that was very perfect for tillering of wheat. And it is at that stage that the message for the yield is sent in terms of the genetics of the winter wheat. So we have had the best quality in terms of the herbage of winter wheat this season. In fact, most wheat farmers confirm that they have never seen such good quality of wheat as it grows, better than this year.
Despite the climate change impact, authorities say this year's yield is worth looking forward to.
We anticipate that from the 121,962, we will harvest a little more than 600,000 metric tons, barring obviously anything that might happen in terms of power. If we may not irrigate these last few weeks of irrigation, we need power, but we should get the largest yield that we have ever gotten in Zimbabwe ever since winter wheat was introduced. We are happy that we will deliver that 600,000 metric tons, but we will also deliver more than 30 million hay bales, which are important for livestock feed.
It's critical for Zimbabwe to achieve set targets to avoid prolonging the drought, and farmers in the country are aware this is more than just a normal season, but national duty, as it were. Reporting for ZTM Prime, I'm Messi Marimbe.
We are now joined by Agricultural and Rural Development Authority Chairperson Ivan Gregg to give us more on what's happening on the ground. Good evening to you, Ivan. Now, how has the current drought impacted on farmers' ability to do well during winter crop and preparations for the summer crop?
Yeah, it impacted quite big on the farmers. Just if you look at the winter crop, the summer crop actually didn't do very well. So farmers didn't have much to sell, and the season was late again, that when farmers went to winter cropping, they didn't have, or they were not yet paid for the summer just because their crop was still in the field. Because if you look at some farmers now, they still haven't delivered their crop just because the moisture is too high, and they are sorting out this and that. So really it had a bad impact. But fortunately, we would want to thank the government on the joint venture programs, which came in with inputs, with seed, fertilizer, chemicals, and as well as fuel, and also for harvesting, the combine harvesters on standby. If it wasn't for that intervention, definitely it was going to be impossible to have winter crop at the moment.
Right. Now, what will be the fallback position for farmers when they eventually start the summer crop, given the drought has left them on the brink?
Yes, still the same. You find farmers really, commercial farmers, they rely on government facilities, but you find the facilities which are available are short-term. And those which are there, sometimes farmers find it difficult to access, especially if they've got a carryover facility which they cannot roll over. So at the moment, you find that they have to go to the bank, and the banks have to understand them and probably see what they have on the ground, and also reports from agri-techs that the season wasn't very good in their areas. So it's to do with the banks now, and also if you look at there are some banks which are coming in with some agro yield programs, and there are about 3 of them. So those have to be a bit flexible in terms of their requirements, so that at least many farmers can access. Otherwise, if they don't do that, it will be very difficult for the farmers to access inputs. At the same time, you find, we also want to thank the government, because for the communal sector, they are going to come up with presidential input program where the farmers are going to get their fertilizer, seed, and chemicals for this coming season. Otherwise, you know, they require a lot of assistance because of that drought.
Konapo Konapo, Ipapo Ipapo pa ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294, the place to be.